Hey there everyone, Dr. Beth Westy here. I wanted to pop on and talk about how exercise should change with your hormonal cycle. This is something that I also teach women how to do in the 12-week challenge. So if you're not on the list for that, you can get on the list, click the link. Don't miss out on it because I go through a lot of really important, really detailed information, really key stuff there. People, really key stuff, and all related to how to really work with your hormones and your cycle. Again, this is a new concept for a lot of women where they're like, wait, I can work out for my hormones? That should be different throughout the month. Yes, I talk so much about changing and shifting your nutrition for your hormonal cycle. Why wouldn't you change how you work out? Right? Why wouldn't you change how you push your body, how hard and when and what to do different things? Now, I'm going to cover this and talk about general things to really focus on. And if you are someone who, like, you go to a class, right, and you're like, because there's a lot of different types of gyms out there, and I do know, I just saw this new statistic on of the population, only like 10 or 12% of people actually go to a gym, but people who go to a gym are usually pretty dedicated at it. So there's different types of gyms. You can go to like a specialty or boutique gym, right? That's going to be your CrossFits, or Pilates bar, your, boot camps, things like that. There's a lot of different like specialty gyms, right? So you're going to get the workout that they have, right? Like if you go to yoga, you go to a gym and you do yoga, you're going to do yoga stuff like every time you go there, right? And CrossFit, you're going to do CrossFit stuff every time you go there. There are some gyms, some gym facilities. In Minnesota, I'm in Minnesota, Lifetime Fitness is a big gym here. It actually started here. The corporate headquarters is in Minnesota. So that's a gym. It's huge. They have classes. And you can take a cycle class, right? Or if you go to like Cycle Bar, Soul Cycle, you're going to do cycling there, right? If you want to go to a gym that has a lot of them, it's something like really, really huge. Like they've got a cycle studio, they've got yoga studios, bar studios. You can do free weights, you can do your own workouts. They have their own CrossFit thing. So there's a lot of different places that you can work out. So the thing about some of that is that sometimes people go to a gym, they'll go to like a Snap or an Anytime or an LA Fitness, and you're just kind of working out on your own. So there's a lot of stuff for people to choose from when you're working out. And I want to address this because a lot of women actually get stuck right at the entry point there. I don't know what to do. I signed up for this free week at yoga and it was really great, but is that what my body really needs? Or, oh, should I be doing this, that, or the other? How do I incorporate all of these things? Or I love going to boot camp. How do I navigate that? How do I manage all of that, right? So that's what I want to talk about. How to work out for your hormones and your cycle, no matter where you're working out, no matter what you're doing. If you're working out at home, if you have a trainer, these are things to talk about with your trainer if you're a female, especially if you have a male trainer. Really, really important that you're focusing on these things. So it doesn't matter where you're working out or what you're doing specifically in terms of classes, you can always shift and adjust how you're pushing your body and how you're moving your body to align with your hormonal cycle. Okay, so I'm going to go over the general stuff and then I'll give some specific examples throughout the month that you guys can focus on here when you're working out to get the most out of your body. And the important thing here where I'm talking about, because the whole goal with fitness and everything is to push your body and let it rest and recover, to push your body, rest and recover. For women, you need to build muscle. That's going to help your skeletal system, your muscle system, your strength, everything. But it's when we're looking at weight loss and stuff, you have to have muscle to burn calorie. So that's a big piece too. You can't just do cardio and cardio and cardio and expect to always keep burning calories. You need muscle mass. So I'm going to talk about that, when to do that, when to really push your body for muscle, and then when to let it really recover. So in the estrogen phase here, and again, these are things that we go over in detail in the 12-week challenge. So again, if you're not on the list for that, get on the list for the 12-week challenge, because this is just a tiny bit of the bucket of what we're going to go through. And for a lot of women, this is the piece that they're missing the most, the exercise piece, of, oh my gosh, I'm totally doing this wrong. I'm stressing my body out more versus letting it, recover nicely. Okay. So this piece here, the estrogen phase here, about days 1 through 14. Day 1 is the first day of your period. That very first day, the very first first, day to 3 days here, right here, this might be a really hard time for you, especially if you're going through some stress or you're going through a different phase. Maybe you've done like a detox or something. Your body can be really focused on turning things over. So it just depends. There are some women that they get their period and they feel amazing and they don't care, like if they work out really hard or not. Other women, they're like, whoa, I need to take a beat and just let my body do its thing here for a few days. Okay. Either way, that very first start of it is really up to you and how you're feeling. And also know that this can change month to month for some women, depending on what you're going through, all this stuff, right? So for the first, days 1 through 3, your hormones are actually really low. So this is a time to listen to your body and respond accordingly. If you're feeling really good, you can go for a long run. You can do whatever you want. But if for some reason you're like, I'm having really bad cramps today, I feel like I should just do some light yoga and rest, that's okay too. So this phase here is just a listen phase. Okay, the rest of them here, the rest of this time here in the estrogen phase, this is where your body can actually build more lean muscle. Again, for toning, for body shape, for metabolism, everything. The foods that we're focused on here are very specific as well to help you build more muscle. And I talk about that in other videos. Again, if you need that info, just go to YouTube, Dr. Beth Westy. That's my channel. Subscribe to it. You can get all those videos that are archived there. But for here, things that we're focused on lifting heavier. You want to lift, I'm just going to say heavier. It doesn't have to be like maxing out all the time, but this is a point of your cycle where your body's going to respond faster, you're going to be recovering quicker, and you want to build that lean muscle. That's what it can do at this point. So get some heavier lifting in. If you're doing, boot camp classes, something like that, if you're doing anything that includes, weights, up your weights a little bit. It doesn't have to be a ton. Up them by, 2 pounds, 5 pounds, whatever it is, right? You should just be pushing yourself more because you're going to have more energy and you're going to have a better recovery. You really, really are. So lift heavier, and then you can allow yourself a shorter recovery. And then you want to do intervals more here. Now this is cardio, things like that. You can really push your body more, have higher intensities, that type of a thing. Shorter recovery, meaning you can do like a heavy lifting day, one day, and then the very next day, get after it with some really intense intervals if you want. If you are, doing a yoga class or something like that, pick a class that is, that uses weight, like cardio, like a yoga sculpt or something. That would be the equivalent. Just find a class or of the classes or whatever gym you're going to that you can push yourself. And if you're wondering about this, again, these are things that I really help women decipher and like in the 12-week challenge, I help pick it for you. I help walk you through this so you know exactly what to do when. But this is essentially what you should be focused on at this point. After ovulation, you'll notice that your body just starts to shift and change. And you're like, oh, this doesn't feel as good. So the example I use a lot of the time is going for a run. You might go for a 5-mile run, and you get up in the morning, you drink this certain amount of water, you have this as a snack before your run, you go for your run, and you're doing it here, you feel great. You feel lots of energy. You feel, I'm killing it on this run. I'm killing it. I am making great time. I'm feeling really energized. You get done with your run, you still feel good. You still feel great. And then the next day, you're barely sore. You're like, yeah, got this. Look at how fit I'm getting. Yes, I'm so fit. You do that same thing right here. Oh, whole different story. Whole different story. Why? Because you have a different body at this point. Different body. Right there. And you get up at the same time. You get the same amount of sleep. You drink the same amount of water. You had the same snack before. You went on the same 5-mile trail. Yet 10, 15 minutes into that run, you are dragging. Your legs get super heavy, like tree trunks. Right? Every woman that I know understands this when I talk about this, that you do this here and you feel great, and you do this here and you're like, I don't feel great. I'm doing the same thing. What the heck? What's wrong with me? You feel like, ugh. you're stuck in this body that's not responding at all. Yeah, because it's not, it's totally different. It's totally different. Different body at that point. Now, nutritionally, again, you want to focus on the things that your body needs at this point to really, make sure you're not getting nutrient depleted. But here at this point, this is not a time, especially that week before your period starts, especially right here, in terms of movement and exercise, yes. And if you're training for something, right, like this is something that women need to take into account. If you're, say, training for a marathon and you're like, I got to put miles in during this week. I got to put my miles in. Yep, I know. Yep. So a lot of your exercise piece is going to have to be around the other training that you're doing, the other weight training, things like that. You're going to have to focus more on flexibility. And you're really going to have to focus on giving yourself more time to recover, more sleep time, and your nutrition is going to have to be really tightened up because you don't have flexibility then with how many miles you're doing. If you're just running to get fit and you run 5 miles here and you only make it 4 here, that's okay, right? Like your body doesn't respond quite as well. That's fine if you only make it the 4 miles. But if you're training for a marathon or something, you need to put those miles in. So I totally get it. So there is that. And again, if you have more questions on that, if that's you that I'm talking about, again, get on that wait list so you can get more info on this. But at this point here of your hormonal cycle, when you're looking at this, you're looking at getting more, increasing your recovery. Needs to be, your recovery time needs to be more. You can lift, but you're just going to lift like, we'll just say light. Light to medium. This is where your medium weights are going to feel just as heavy as they do over here because your body's just in a different place, right? When you look at cardio, you can do slower but longer endurance. Slower and D-U-R-A-N-C, endurance. Sorry, this is getting really messy. So over here, everybody talks about, HIIT cardio, HIIT training, that's the best thing, because you can really push the intensity here. If you do boot camp or something here where they do interval sessions and you're like, it's an interval day, how do I not do an interval day? You can do an interval day, but go lighter, don't push yourself as hard, and you give yourself an extra 5 seconds in between the intervals if you feel like you need it. Again, just listen and pay attention to your body. So often, as women, we get swept up and caught up in this really rigid training model that's the same all the time. It's the same, just increase your weights week by week, That's a male training model. That's a male training model. It's not designed for women and for females. I would love to see an entire gym out there that is based on the female physiology. That would be amazing. Maybe I'll open one. Maybe I'll start one. Just kidding. I don't know that I want to start a gym. But I'm just saying, like, that's, so we feel bad sometimes where you're like, I didn't do, for this interval training thing, we had to do 100, sit-ups and I only did, 80 of them. That's still fine. It's so important that you're paying attention to your body and your system. And there's a lot of women that notice the recovery goes better here when you're not really trying to push yourself based on this other arbitrary mark that you gave yourself when you were in this body. When you start to listen and start to pay attention. So I talk about this for women with weight loss. When you want to weigh yourself and you want to compare your weight and say, okay, am I losing weight? Is this appropriate, right? You're going to weigh yourself, say day 14 on this month. You want to compare it to day 14 last month because that's the same body. That's the same body. It's going to be the same thing for your overall fitness. If you do a fitness test, if you like run a mile and do some push-ups or a plank or whatever it is, right? And you're doing that here, you need to compare it to the same body you have here. Or if you compare it to the same body here, you're comparing the wrong body. You know what I mean? If you compare it to the same body you had last month, then you really know, oh my gosh, yes, I am getting more and more fit. It's very rare for women to notice just increments of improvement all the time, right? There will be some of that if you start running and you start training for running. The first, 3 to 4 months of it, you're just going to get faster and faster as you run. But at some point, you will have a plateau or you'll have these ups and downs and you'll be like, why am I having these ups and downs? There you go. That's why. But compare yourself fitness-wise to where you were the last month at the same time to really gauge your fitness improvements. There's a lot of, higher level athletes that I work with, and this is something that they struggle with. They're like, I suck, I'm terrible, blah. I'm like, no. It's just not as good as it was here, but you still made an improvement over last month, so there you go. Yes. And there's other things that I talk about in terms of, I talked about if you're training for a marathon, and that's your thing too. Yes, there's that. There's other things too if you're looking at races, if you've got a race, that type of a thing. I have a lot of resources for you in other places. So I mentioned the YouTube. I've got a podcast, The Female Health Solution. You can, get on board with that, subscribe to that, and that way you can, sorry, something in my eye right now. Subscribe to the podcast because I've got a lot of great interviews there with other experts as well as tons of info there. And then of course books, I have The Female Fat Solution. This is all about the nutrition, matching it with your hormonal cycle, but there's also a whole chunk in here on exercise for your cycle. And I detail this out even more in the book. And if you're in menopause and you're like, what about me? I got you. Female Menopause book, also on Amazon. Great resources for you to really make sure that you're doing the right things for your body, your hormones, and everything the entire month. When you start to think about it, you'll be like, oh, my whole lifestyle is going to change in accordance with where my hormones are. Yes, it is. And that's amazing. So that's what I got for you guys tonight. Please let me know if you have any more questions or you need anything else. Always use me as a resource, of course, and get on that wait list. And the free 5-day challenge is coming up. So exciting. So exciting. All right. So yeah, let me know if you guys need help with that or if you have any other things. Okay. Have a great rest of your night.